So typically fairway woods for most amateur golfers are a difficult club to hit from the fairway, especially those different lies that we may get out on that golf course. Ping historically have made some fantastic fairway woods, that low profile, from my experience, some easy to launch golf clubs. So in this video, I'm going to look at the new range in the G430 in the fairway woods and see how these perform. Okay, so there's going to be 3 offerings from Ping in terms of this fairway wood, as we've seen in the past. Now the LST is going to be a later launch, so I haven't got that at the moment because it's not out as yet. But what we have got is the Max and the SFT. So Max is obviously more of your neutral weight setting in the back, and then your SFT is a little bit more of that draw by a slightly bigger profile. We're going to hit both in this video. We're going to start things off with the Max, and we have got some differences in the technology that's happening in the 430 than what we've seen in previous sort of models. Now, very characteristic Ping fairway wood. As I mentioned in the opening of this video, low profile head. I think that's such a good thing for Ping in terms of helping that golfer get that ball launched. And as I mentioned, this is a typical thing that I would see many golfers tend to sort of struggle to do. So sitting that down by the golf ball, it's a nice sort of head size there. It does sit nice low profile. This tight lie I've got on the mat here is sometimes a daunting lie for a lot of golfers. And that looks like I can get that underneath that ball and get that ball flighted. It fills me with that little bit of confidence. So sits nice behind the ball. We've got that matte finish as we have seen with many of the Ping fairway woods. A little bit of colouring on the edges, that heel and toe and the crown. A little bit of white grooving. Oh, that's a good shot to start with, and that's flown really nice. It's got up there quite easily. That looks to be a really nice sort of ball flight on that. Yeah, so spin a little bit sort of higher. Now, some different changes in sort of technology that Ping are introducing into the 430 range of fairway woods. We're seeing an introduction of carbon in the crown with all the fairways, both Max and also that SFT, and I'm guessing it'll also happen in the LST as well. In the drivers, we saw it introduced in LST only, not the Max or SFT. So we've got a carbon fly wrap. So basically this back section of the crown is now carbon. You can just about see the carbon effect just coming through. Very, very subtle there actually. But that lips over into the toe and lips over into that heel area. So obviously saving some weight, redistributing that into a sort of lower position, CG placement, higher MOI, and also a pleasing sound is what Ping is saying. Now, from that first shot, it was a bit louder than I was expecting to sort of see. Now, we obviously saw the driver be an incredibly better sounding golf club, again, in comparison to the 425, which was pretty loud. That's a good strike, such a good ball like that. It's just a little bit louder than I was expecting, a little bit of a tinnier sound back into that. It's not overpowering by any means, and I know sound is a personal thing. Some people say, well, I'm not actually bothered about that. See that better strike there, a little bit better spin number. So just squeezing a few more yards and that carry out of that shot. As I say, it fills you with lots of confidence down by that golf ball, that low profile head. It does look like you can get the club to the bottom of that golf ball. Oh, that's a low toe, but it's up, just a bit pushy. That wasn't a great strike there. Just losing a little bit of ball speed. The spin's probably going to go up there now. Low toe, there you go. Yeah, over 4,000. That's more me. That's just a bad strike. But maybe that's where these sort of fairway woods are pretty good in my eyes. You know, that's up and away. Now, granted, I've got some speed, but just think of somebody maybe with some lower club head speed, hitting that low strike, the ball's going to want to come out a little bit lower, isn't it? And maybe sometimes I struggle to get the ball flighted. I see it so many times in my fittings with Ping fairway woods. Anybody's struggling to flight the ball, pop a Ping in the hand, and tell you what, you know, it typically gets that ball up and away. And again, that's a similar strike. It wasn't brilliant, but that is up and out. Won't be the most optimum in terms of distance, because again, that will spin up a little bit, yeah, fraction. Now, we've still got adjustability in the neck sleeve, so we can dial that loft up and down by up to 1.5 degrees, and also we can change the lie angle. So we've got these flat lie settings. So if you maybe wanting to take that left-hand side of the golf course out as a right-hander, then obviously that flat setting is a really good option to sort of do that. Central weight in the back, in the middle, which is going to help to obviously get that CG deeper, higher that MOI, bit of forgiveness, ease of launch. Super confident, inspiring is this fairway wood for me. Do you know what? I've not hit that fantastic either. That was a little bit in the toe. More than happy with that result in that distance. That's a good strike. Just work up the left a tiny bit. Super ball flight. Yeah, and some really nice sort of distances. That was a better strike, a little bit of a better launch there through the strike as well. So we saw last year the introduction of what Ping call spin consistency, fantastic word. So basically the control of the radius of this face as it comes down. So ultimately a little bit less loft in that low part of the golf club. So typically when hitting the fairway off the ground, your strike sometimes can be a little bit low in the face, so your miss can definitely be in that low section. So what typically would happen there is that will create a little bit of a lower launch, but then pack it with spin with that gear effect and give you that really weak, climby sort of flight. So Ping have taken a little bit of loft off the bottom, so it's obviously going to come out low, as it would do, but with a slightly less loft, it just helps to keep a little bit more ball speed up and a little bit of spin off it, so it doesn't climb too much. Okay, so just pitching this up against the SFT, so what they call the straight flight technology, obviously a little bit more a draw bias golf club. First thing that sort of see now is that weighted screw at the back of the golf club just moves fractionally into the heel, so obviously putting a little bit more mass into the heel section of the golf club, and noticeably a bigger footprint down by that golf ball, so a little bit more stretched out from that front to the back, and definitely just sits a little bit more toed in, so really aimed at that golfer who struggles maybe to control that right shot for that right-handed golfer. So this will help to do that. And as standard, the 3-wood comes with 16 degrees of loft, where the max is 15, so just that extra degree there probably just helps maybe if that slightly slow swing golfer, or maybe if somebody who comes a little bit more over the top, might just hit a bit down on the golf ball, a little bit steep on it. You've just got a bit more loft there, a bit more stretch back to help that ball flight get up in the air. So at the end, when we look at the numbers, we'll check out the SFT numbers as well, see how that sort of performs. That's a joy to hit. That really is. Again, that was a little bit low in the face. Flight's great, take that every single day of the week. Spin just climbing a little bit, maybe that spin consistency help you touch, is it? I don't know, it's hard to sort of say, isn't it? So for any of you golfers out there that really struggle to get the ball flighted, or maybe in that real sort of slower swing bracket, then they offer a G430 high launch version. Basically what that is, they offer this in the driver as well, is that weighted screw at the back is a little bit lighter, the shaft as standard is lighter, the grip is lighter, the overall dead weight of the golf club is lighter, so helping to sort of get a little bit more speed, get that ball, as its name says, a little bit more higher launch. Right, okay, so let's look at the dispersion rings and also the shot traces on those shots. Now I did hit some with that SFT, so as I mentioned, the head size looked a little bit bigger, sat a little bit more toed in, and there's a touch more loft in there, so you can see well, not as much distance there. It did feel like it flighted a little bit high, it definitely spun a little bit higher, which is where it's dropping off. Again, we're going to look at numbers shortly, but you can maybe just see it wasn't quite as left biased as I thought it was going to be honest. Whether I've just tried to sort of look in that closed face, I've manipulate things, I don't know, subconsciously, but it didn't actually fly much left than what I thought it was going to do. So when we look at the numbers more details, so you see the max on the bottom, SFT on the top, so we can see ball speed just down a little bit with the SFT, probably that little bit of extra loft there. Spin came up a little bit more, so good 500 revs more spin, probably again with that little bit extra loft, just and also that weight being pulled back, it'll help just to sort of spin that ball a little bit more. So that's where I'm just dropping off that little bit of distance between those two shots. But really the max obviously a little bit more suited towards me in terms of loft, the head shape and the way it sort of sits. Some decent numbers there, you know, launching where I expect to sort of see it. Spin is just an odd one, we see where I got that low toe strike, really testing the forgiveness, but it was in play, and that's the main thing there, is the ball was in play. Okay, so as I mentioned, the LST is going to be coming at a later launch than these two fairway woods themselves, so that video will come as soon as I get my hands on it. But you know, for me, again, it's a very good fairway wood from Ping G430s. If you're struggling to get that ball flighted, you want some more forgiveness, a little bit more consistent, those awkward lies out there, definitely go and give those a try. Appreciate the watching the video as always, and hopefully we'll catch up with you all very soon.